Hello everyone, and welcome to this video on the Python programming language and machine learning. So in this video, I'll attempt to predict the price direction of Apple stock using a machine learning algorithm to create a machine learning model and then come up with a simple trading strategy. So I'm currently on Google's website. It's called colab.research.google.com, and I'm on it because it makes it easy to start programming in Python. So all you have to do is go to this website and then log in using your Google account and get started writing your Python code. So if you're going to code along with me, go ahead and click on File, then click on New Notebook, where a new tab will open up for you, and then eventually a new cell will open up for you. And in the cell, I'm going to put in a description and comments. So I'm just going to put this program uses machine learning to come up with a simple trading slash investing or investment strategy. Okay. So I'm going to create a new cell by clicking this code button in the top left. And now in this cell, I'm going to import some of the libraries that I plan on using throughout the program. So I'm going to import NumPy as NP. I'm going to import pandas as PD. I'm going to import matplotlib.pyplot as PLT. And I'm going to import warnings. And then I'm going to give my plot a style. So I'm going to type plt.style.use, and I'm going to use the 538 style. And then I want to filter my warnings. So I'm just going to type warnings dot filter warnings, and I want to ignore them. So I'm going to put in ignore here. All right, and I'm going to run this cell by clicking this button here to the left, and this will let me know if I made any mistakes, and it will run this cell for me. Okay, so it looks like everything is good. Also, before we begin or before we continue, if you like the videos on the channel, then be sure to click that subscribe and like button, and to be notified about new videos on this channel, hit that bell notification. Also, you can get the code or dataset or just support the channel on Patreon at patreon.com/computerscience, and I will leave a link for that in the description below. Also, the material in this video is purely educational and should not be taken as professional investment advice. So invest at your own discretion. All right, so with all that being said, let's create a new cell. And now in this cell, I want to load the data. I want to load the stock data. So I'm going to use Google's library to do this. So from google.colab, I'm going to import files. Okay, and I'm just going to type files.upload to upload the file. I'm going to run this and then click on choose files, and I'm going to choose this aapl.csv file. All right, so that file is uploaded now. I'm going to create a new cell, and here I'm going to read in the CSV file. So I'm going to create a variable called df, which will be short for data frame, and I'm going to set it equal to pd.read_csv, and then I'm going to input the name of the file, which is aapl.csv, and I want to show the data. So I'm just going to type df here to show it, and let's run this. Okay, and now we can see the data. We can see the date column, we can see the open price column, the high price column, the low price column, the close price column, the adjusted close price column, and then the volume column. Okay, and we have data from 9/17/2020 all the way to 9/16/2021. Okay, and we can also see that this data set contains 252 rows of data, and of course those 7 columns that I just mentioned earlier. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and create a new cell now that we have that data stored into df, and I want to set the data. I want to set the date actually to be the index. So I want to set the date column as the index, and to do that, just type df.index and set this equal to pd.to_datetime, and then input the date column. Okay, so once I have that, I want to then drop the date column from the data set. So let me see here. I put pd.to_datetime. This needs to be df, not date. Okay, and now I want to drop that date column. So just set df equal to df.drop, and then input the column name, which is date, and then tell it which axis to remove, and we want to remove the columns axis. Okay, and now this should we should be done. So I just want to show the data. So I'm just going to type df here, and let's run this. Okay, so now we can see we have the indices as the date, and then we have our columns up top. All right, so now we have 6 columns, and we still have those 252 rows of data. All right, so let's go ahead and create a new cell. And now in this cell, I'm going to create the independent variables. So I'm going to create a new column called high minus low, and I'm going to set this equal to the high price minus the low price. All right, and I'm going to create another column called open minus close, and we'll set this equal to the open price minus the close price. All right, and then I'm going to run this, and that's good. So let's create a new cell now that we have those newly added columns, and I want to store the independent variables that I just now created in a variable called x. All right, so I'm going to create a variable called x. I'm going to set this equal to df, and then I'm going to input the columns that I want, which are open minus close and high minus low, and I also want the close price. Okay, and then I want to show the first 5 rows of data, so I'm just going to type x dot head, and let's take a look at the data set. All right, okay, so now we have our x data set. Let's go ahead and create a new cell, and the x data set contains our independent variables that we're going to be training the model on. So now I want to store the target variable into a variable called y. Okay, so I'm going to create a variable called y and set it equal to np dot where df dot close dot shift minus 1 is greater than df dot close. If that's true, then we're going to put 1, else we're going to put 0. So all I'm doing here is I'm checking to see if tomorrow's close price is greater than today's close price. If that's true, then we're going to put 1, else we're going to put 0. And maybe I will put that here as well. If tomorrow's close price is greater than today's close price, then put 1, else put 0. All right, so this right here will give me my signals. So I will have a 1 for buying, and I have a 0 for no position. Okay, so let's continue. Let's go ahead and show the data. So I'm just going to type y here to show it. Let's run this, and now we can see a bunch of 1s and 0s. Okay, so I think that looks good. Next, I want to get the percentage to split the data. So I want to split the data into 90% training or trained data set and 10% test data set. So I'm going to create a variable called percentage underscore split, and I'm going to set this equal to 0.9 for 90%. And then I'm going to create a variable called row and set it equal to df dot shape at position 0. So this will be the the length of the data set times that percentage. So that's percentage underscore split. And then I want this to be an integer value, so I'm going to cast it as an int. And this will allow me to split the data at a specific row. All right, so next I'm going to create the train data set. So I'm going to create a variable called x underscore train, and I'm going to set it equal to x, and I want everything up until row from x. And then I'm going to create the y train data set, and I want everything from y up until row. And then I'm going to create the test data set. So I'm going to create a variable called x underscore test and set it equal to x, and I want everything from row onward, so I'm just going to put row colon and then a blank. And then I need to create my y test data set, and so I want everything starting from row onward, so I'm going to put row colon and then blank. All right, and I'm going to run this, and then just so you know what I just now did, let's go ahead and create a new cell. I'm going to show you x train. All right, so let's run this. So you can see x train gets all the data from our x variable, right? If we go back up here, we can see that our x data set starts on this date 9/17/2020, and that's exactly where our x train data set starts as well, 9/17/2020, all the way until 8/10/2021. And then what we'll see is that the x underscore test data set will start after 8/10. So let's go ahead and run this. And so we see now that the x test data set starts from 8/11/2021 all the way to the rest of the data set in x, which is to 9/16/2021. All right, and if you want me to, I can also show you x. So let's just type x here. Let's run this. And so we can see x goes all the way from 9/17/2020 all the way to 9/16/2021. Okay, so I just kind of wanted to show you all what I was doing there. And let's go ahead and delete these cells now. All right, I want to create a new cell. Okay, so now it's time to create our model. So I want to first import the library for the machine learning model called support vector classifier, or SVC for short. And maybe I put machine learning model called. All right, so import the library for the machine learning model called support vector classifier. So from sklearn.svm support vector machine, I'm going to import SVC. All right, and then I'm going to, or next I'm going to create the model. So I'm going to create a variable called model and set it equal to SVC, and just like that, the model has been created. And then I want to train the model. So to do that, I just type model.fit, and fit is another name for train. And then I want to train it on the train data set. So that's x underscore train. And I want to use only the columns open minus close and high minus low. All right. And then need to put in the y train data set as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this and create our model. All right, so we've created and trained our model here. Let's create a new cell, and now let's check the score of the model on the train data set. So to do this, just type model.score and then input x underscore train, and of course open minus close column and high minus low, and then put in the y underscore train data set. So let's run this and let's get a score. Okay, so the score is about 54.42%. And let's go ahead and get the score on the test data set. So I'm just going to come up here, I'm going to highlight all this, and then I'm going to copy using Control C, and then come down here and paste it using Control V, and then just change a few things. So instead of the train data set, I want to use the test data set. All right, and instead of x underscore train, I want to use x underscore test. And instead of y underscore train, I want to use y underscore test. So let's run this. All right, and we can see that the model is 61.53%, or has a score of 61.53% for the test data set. So it's a little bit better for the test data set, and I guess that's a little promising. Okay, so let's create a new cell. And now in this cell, I want to make and show the model's predictions. So to do this, I'm going to create a new column called predictions. And I'm going to set this equal to model.predict. And let's see. We are going to get the predictions for the X data set. So I'm going to put in X here. And then you tell it which columns to use. So that's open dash close and high dash low. All right, so it's going to use these two columns to make the predictions, because these are the same two columns that we use to train the model on. All right. Okay, so next I want to go ahead and show the predictions. So in order to do that, I'm just going to type df predictions, and let's run this. Okay, so now we can see some of the predictions. Let's create a new cell. And now that we have all of this information, we can start creating the strategy and then compare it with just a buy and hold strategy. All right, so let's go ahead and calculate the daily returns. All right, so I'm going to create a new column called return, and I'm going to set this equal to df close dot pct underscore change, and then input the value 1 for 1 day. Then let's go ahead and run this, and let's create a new cell. And now I want to calculate the strategy returns. All right, so I'm going to create a new column called strat underscore return, and I'm going to make that a capital R. All right, so that's a capital R now. Let's set this equal to df predictions dot shift 1, right? And then I want to multiply this by df return. Okay, so I am shifting the prediction by 1 for getting the returns for that day, right? So the predictions are based off of a future date, and now I'm actually getting the returns for that specific day. Okay, so I think that looks good. Let's go ahead and show the strategy returns. So just type df strat underscore return, and let's run this. All right, and this is the strategy's return. And then of course just the buy and hold returns are here. I didn't show that, so let's go ahead and just show the returns. So that's df returns. Okay, so now we have our strategy, or our strategy returns, and then we have just the normal returns. All right, so let's go ahead and create a new cell. And now in this cell, I'm going to calculate the cumulative returns. So I'm going to create a column called cumul underscore strategy, and I'm going to set this equal to df strat underscore return dot cum sum. All right, I'm just going to highlight this. I'm going to copy using Control C, and let's paste it here using Control V, and this will be the calculation of the strategy cumulative returns, and this will just be the normal one. So here I'm just going to call this cumul returns, and this will be just return dot cum sum. All right. Okay, so now we're storing the cumulative returns in a column called cumul return, and we're storing the cumulative returns for the strategy in a column called cumul strategy. All right, so let's go ahead and let's run this. Alrighty. Okay, so now time to create a new cell, and now I want to visualize and show the data. So I'm going to plot this. So to plot this, just type plt dot figure. Let's give the figure a figure size. So the figure size will be 16 by 8, and then I'm going to give the plot a title. So I'm just going to call it returns, and then I want to plot the data. So I'm going to type plt dot plot, and the data that I want to plot are cumulative returns. I'm going to give it a color. It will be orange. The label will be equal to stock returns, and then I need to do almost the same thing. So I'm just going to highlight this, copy using Control C, and then come down here and paste it using Control V. And instead of cumul underscore ret, it will be cumul underscore strategy. The color will be purple, and this will be the strategy returns. Okay. Then I want the information on the x-axis to be rotated. So I'm going to type plt dot xticks, and I want the rotation to be 45 degrees. And then I want to show the legend, so I'm going to type plt dot legend, and I want to show the plot, so I'm going to type plt dot show, and let's run this. Okay, so now we can see the stock returns in this orangish yellow color, and we can see the strategy returns in purple here. And it looks like the strategy returns are slightly better. So let's actually create a print statement. Let's print the returns. So I'm going to put here the stock gives a return of df cumul ret at position -1 times 100, and then I'm going to put a percentage sign here, and I'm going to highlight all this. I'm going to copy using Control C, come down here and paste it using Control V, and then I'm going to put here the strategy gives a return of cumul underscore strategy at that same position times 100 with that percentage sign. So let's go ahead and run this. Okay, and now we can see that the stock gives a return of about 34%, and then the strategy here gives a return of about 37%, or maybe 38% if you round up. So that means that the strategy did better, right? and that's pretty cool to see. So this is just a fun little project. Make sure to do some more back testing on your own and try it out. But please use this as a grain of salt, right? Think of this as a grain of salt. This is just a fun project and is not intended for for investing. Again, if you're going to do anything with this, just make sure that you do a lot of back testing. All right. So I hope you enjoyed this small little project, and that's the end of the video. If you would like to start an investment portfolio of your own, you can click on the link below and get free stocks on Webull when you deposit $100 or more. And you can also get $10 worth of Bitcoin using the BlockFi link below when you deposit $100 or more. So thanks for watching, and thank you to the supporters supporting this channel on patreon.com/computerscience. Again, if you would like to be a supporter on patreon.com/computerscience, I will leave a link in the description below for that. And thanks for watching again, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day.